Okay, I don't know what with... I have no idea what was up with the delay there, but for some reason OBS and YouTube were not agreeing with each other. But we are live now, so that's all taken care of for now. Hopefully my internet holds out. It hasn't been the best lately. There's been nights where it'll just randomly cut off for like 10 minutes. Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. So I have a couple things to plan to talk about for the evening. A few more than is actually in the title. I just tried to pick a few to kind of highlight. But I do wish that I was able to fit more. I probably could have used the description for the rest, but you know, who even reads the description anymore? I don't know. I'm drunk DBZ fighting. There we go. How's that working out for you? I haven't played that game yet, though. It looks pretty cool, but it was insanely expensive to buy the game and all the DLC. And, you know, I'm not a fan of DLC, but I do like to have the complete game if I'm going to buy a game. So it sucks when they have characters in fighting games trapped behind DLC. Who's laughing now? I don't know. Who is laughing now? I guess we'll find out soon enough. Alright, so let me pull up our window here. I know that as far as the Boogie2988 stuff goes, I know that I said I wasn't really going to talk much more about that, but well, I mean, something new happened, so I did want to just kind of go over it real quick. But first, I wanted to start with this this tweet thread that I came across not too long ago, and I just kind of wanted to see if I'm the only one that thinks this is a little bit ridiculous. But let me go through it and we'll talk about it afterwards. So it says, I study the law of attraction, and a huge part of it is changing the way you speak. If you always speak negatively over your life, even subconsciously, you'll attract the very things you don't want. So here are a few ways I've learned to practice speaking more positively. Replace, I never meet good men with, I meet good men everywhere I go. Replace, I hate my body with, I'm excited to work on my new body. Replace, I feel so ugly with, what can I do today to feel prettier? Replace, I can't afford that with, I'm using my money for something else right now. Replace, I'm broke with, my cash flow is increasing. Replace, I hate my life with, I'm grateful to be alive. Replace, I never do anything right with, everything I do is excellent. Replace, my career sucks with, the right door for me is opening. Replace, nothing ever goes my way with, amazing things are always happening to me. The possibilities are endless. For every negative thing we're conditioned to say, there's always a positive alternative. It's the power of the tongue. We can't say I'm broke and money is tight and I suck at dating and my life sucks and I never get opportunities 5 times a day for 25 years and expect money, love, and success to fall into our laps. It's just not realistic. Alright, so right there. It's just not realistic to expect that stuff to fall in your lap just because you speak negatively. Sure, whatever. I get that. But how exactly does just speaking positively automatically make those things fall into your lap? It's the same. If you... Alright. The way I feel about this when I read things like this, and, you know, maybe it's a defect in my brain, but when I see something like this, I can't help but feel like it's complete garbage. And it's not that I don't think that you should, you know, you shouldn't try to make the best of whatever situation you happen to be in, because you should. But things like this, where, you know, it says like, oh, I replace I'm broke with my cash flow is increasing. Well, what if your cash flow isn't increasing? What if you actually are broke? What if you're about to be homeless? What if you can't afford the rent? Is saying that money is coming in actually going to make money come in? That's not how reality works. I mean, if it was, and all it took was just changing the way you use language to make things happen for you, in a more positive way, everybody would, you know, unlock that secret pretty quickly and take advantage of it. There's a little bit more that goes into it than just dressing up your words. I mean, there's things in here that make it feel like, okay, like replace I never do anything right with everything I do is excellent. Well, neither of those things are true. You're not always going to do things wrong, and you're not always going to do things well. It's somewhere in between. If you just lie to yourself all the time and say, oh, well, everything I do is excellent, but yet you're constantly making mistakes, you're never going to acknowledge those mistakes and learn from them because you're too busy blowing smoke up your own ass to learn anything. It's just, I can't stand, I can't stand these kind of platitudes that are just so obviously lies. You can't lie to yourself and expect things to change. Now, you know, you can't also constantly put yourself down and expect things to change either, but it's your actions that ultimately would speak louder than your words. I mean, there are a lot of successful people, or rich people, I don't know if you want to call them successful, it's up to you, that have so much money, you know, they don't ever have to worry about anything on a surviving in society type of way, but yet they're completely miserable, and maybe in some ways they think they're a failure, but obviously they're not according to society because they have money. You know, they've done something in their career that allowed them to live well beyond the means of an ordinary person. You can still think badly of something that you've done and in reality be doing well, or vice versa. I find that the people that spout endless positivity are always hypocritical in some way, because when you... Let's take an example real quick. Not everybody will know what I'm referring to, but there was a YouTuber, or is a YouTuber, by the name of FuzzyTube, and, you know, recently he had this public meltdown. And his thing is, oh, I'm spreading positivity, I'm spreading love, I'm killing hate. He has this breakdown where he spurgs out on this guy, and he's saying, oh, I'm all about love and spreading positivity. And then he tells the guy, oh, I hope your life is ruined after this. Where's the positivity? Where's the love? It's like it takes the slightest thing for them to flip the switch and blow up on you, but yet, since they have put themselves on the side of quote-unquote positivity, they can never be wrong. They can never be criticized. And I just think it's garbage. Let's see what Chad is getting into here. Just to leave us alone, Todd. Personality is a cop-out for advice due to being abstract. I can understand what she's getting at, but I can still be positive yet realistic at the same time. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not realistic. Like, yes, there is some truth in this. There's a kernel of truth in the sense that you can't just constantly say everything is shit and then, you know, expect yourself to feel better. But at the same time, you can't be unrealistic and pretend everything is great if it sucks. There are times in life when everything sucks. That's just reality. I think he's only positive when he's having a manic episode. Yeah, I don't really want to get like too much into that topic because that's a whole entirely different animal, but just an example of how much bullshit it is to just claim like, oh, I'm on the side of positivity, but yet those people say negative things too. Everybody does it. Everybody, you have to have a balance. It's not just one way. And I think that when you play these word games, it's not being honest with yourself on some level. You can't just say everything I do is right all the time if things are going badly for you in certain aspects of your life. It could really be your fault, and there could be something that you need to self-reflect on in order to do better, but instead, you know, like I said, you're too busy lying to yourself and saying everything is great just because you have it put in your head that there's some sort of mental secret that you can manifest reality simply by saying everything is good. You can feel better. It's like it's a starting point, but if you don't do anything, it doesn't change anything. And I think that these sort of mindsets, they only give you a short high if you can actually, trick yourself into believing it. Because once you wake up and realize, oh, I've done all this positive thinking and nothing's changed, then you sort of see, and you probably will end up less inclined to do the positive thinking thing because, you feel like you spent that time doing it and nothing changed for you. You went hardcore all the way into the wrong direction. You went too far, and now you don't see the value in any positive thinking. So you probably turn into the very type of person this lady thinks she's speaking out against being. I just think it's more important to be realistic. If you're not negative sometimes, how do you learn to cope with it or live with it? Well, that's my point. You can't learn if you just pretend that everything you do is right. You can't see where you're going wrong. And furthermore, I just feel like it's kind of like saying, I'm not failing, I'm just on my way to winning. It's like, no, you can fail. It's okay to fail. Failure sucks, but it also teaches you a valuable lesson sometimes. Not every failure. I'm sure there's times where you can fail and not really come out of it feeling any better. But most of the time you can at least pick up some sort of life lesson out of it. And so if you trick yourself into thinking that you never fail or you never lose, you don't learn what it's like to deal with those things. And then when reality comes along and shatters your little positivity mind game, it crushes you because you never learned how to deal with it. That's where I'm at on that sort of thing. And it really bugs me because usually these are the type of people that will... I'm not putting this on her specifically, just a generality. Usually these are the type of people that will say things like, oh, mental health is so important. And, we have to be there for people that are depressed and feeling sad. And then they basically tell you that it's unacceptable to say anything that would be a depressed person expressing their views, expressing their feelings. So what does that do? It does nothing. It just puts them further underground because they think, I don't have anybody to talk to. What's up, man? New to your channel, love your views. Thanks, I appreciate that. We're just talking about the power of positivity. The so-called power, which I'm not really sure I am buying into. I guess I just look at it from a more realistic perspective. And now, granted, sometimes I'm probably a little bit more on the negative side of things, but I just can't trick myself into believing that something is okay if I'm in a particular situation where it's not okay. I don't feel like that's very helpful. Mental health industry runs the news and the drug industry. Well, I mean, it seems a little bit messed up. I mean, I don't know exactly what the answer is or how to fix it, but I do find it funny that the only time people really come out and say they care about mental health is like when a celebrity is going through something, when a celebrity commits suicide. Then it's like for a week or, a couple of days, everybody's all about the mental health. Oh, we need to help people. We need to be there for people if they're trying to come out and say that, they're feeling alone and they're feeling suicidal. And yet the people that seem to virtue signal the hardest about that always seem to be the ones that you cannot approach personally when you have a problem. They're not there for their friends. They're just there on social media to say, hey, I care about this important issue, and you should too. And it's basically just for show. if you really care, you should be there for people that you can actually help instead of just bragging about how much you care about something because some famous person bit the dust. We live in a society that is heavily medicated and driven by self-satisfaction. Or when Logan Paul films a dead body. Some people think that that was faked. I don't know. I never really looked into it. But it was a messed up situation nonetheless. Fake or real, still kind of ridiculous. It's that attention-seeking behavior that is sort of multiplied by internet fame. You know, the more you get, the more you become addicted to the rush of that attention. Because I can't really see, and it was amazing to me that he tried to spin that as some sort of mental health PSA. It's like, okay, I highly doubt that was your intention, considering that, you know, you didn't know you were going to go in there and come across something. I just feel like a lot of this stuff seems self-serving, or instead it's only when it's somebody that is considered important by society. And I don't comment on it too much when something happens to a celebrity or something, because personally I don't really care. It's like, yes, it's sad. It's always sad when, you know, if somebody loses their life, well, most of the time anyway, but I don't have a particular emotional attachment to somebody that I don't know, and it feels like a lot of the times people make those tragedies about themselves rather than about the issue at hand. It was fake. Japanese has laws against that shit. Yeah, I mean, I know they do, but it was strange nonetheless. Still think it's funny that people said to donate to American programs even though it happened in Japan. Yeah, that was amazing. I did see that. That was pretty funny. Speaking of donations, this sort of is a segue into the Boogie2988 situation. And why can't I get this to? Okay, let me try to make it bigger. All right, here we go. So before I get into the main topic there regarding him, I thought that this was funny just because he says, for my birthday, I'm asking for donations to St. Jude's Research Hospital, and I'm using Facebook's fundraising system to do it. You can click here and donate $5, $1, whatever you want. Give the gift of life for my birthday. Cool, fine, you know, all right, whatever. But then, like, right next to that tweet in succession, all I want for my birthday is to buy a new TV, 70 inches. Hold up, let me just check that real quick. Okay, Anonymous just subscribe. I think that was YouTube, but if you're here listening to the show, thank you. If not, maybe you'll hear it at some other time. So, look, I'm not saying you can't donate money and also simultaneously buy yourself something nice. You can. But the way that this looks, it just makes it look like he's asking people that probably, most likely, have way less finances than he does to donate in honor of his birthday, but yet here he is worried about buying a TV. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he donated, and I hope he did. But you would think that he'd have the common sense, with the way he constantly complains about people giving him shit online, to say, oh yeah, you know, by the way, I'm actually donating too, and, you know, you guys should do it also if you can. That seems a little bit more reasonable to me. This just comes off as hilarious, and it's like he expects everybody else to do it. But, you know, and granted, I have heard that he's donated to places before, so I'm not saying he does no good before the fanboys flip out. I'm just saying I found it entertaining. But to get into the actual topic, I'm not going to play the video that the girl made, but I am. Hold up, let me see here. All right, let me read that real quick. Oh, PJ, thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. Can't go in there with cameras unless you pay big money like YouTube. It's a real place, though. Yeah, I've definitely heard about the forest way before anything with this guy. 22 veterans take their own lives every day. Where's the daily outrage from that? Right. It's, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I thought you were about to plug your Patreon. I actually don't, did I set one back up? I think I have it, but I never wrote anything on it again. So I closed it for a little while because I wanted to try out Maker support. That failed miserably because Stripe gave them shit or something like that. So I did open up the Patreon page again, but I never bothered to advertise it, and I don't think I even set it up properly. It's like it can probably accept donations, but it doesn't have anything written on it, so I don't know. I don't think anybody would want to take part in it. Anyone remember when Tyra Banks, a model, would rip into really ugly girls in her audience about having low self-confidence? The optics are terrible. I'm broke and just lost my job. Oh, sorry to hear that, man. You don't have to. Definitely don't feel obligated to donate anything if you don't have it, you know. If you need it more than I do, that is perfectly fine. But I do appreciate it. I do not consider it bad. It is nice for a popular... Oh, no, I don't consider it bad either. It's fine. What I thought was funny about it was the fact that he was talking about that he was in the market for the TV right after that. That's all. It's like, yeah, encourage people to donate, but you probably should too, since you're so financially well off, you know? Did you not see that people were starting donation campaigns for Kylie Jenner to be the world's youngest... What? All right, where's the reset button? I want out. Definitely want out. Don't those people have enough money? They could probably feed a country by themselves. And how would that be? I mean, how did she earn it then? You know, that's like people just did that to give her all that money. She didn't earn it. Insane. Absolute insanity. So, okay, back to the topic at hand here. So, I'm not going to play the video by the girl, but the girl that Boogie2988 dated recently came out with this video like 6 months later, accusing him of all these things, you know, saying that he was a dick to her. He wouldn't let her leave the house. He yelled at her a lot, and all she did was take care of him. You know, he bought her a plane ticket once and gave her like $20 or something, and also gave her hand-me-down gifts. Now, this is all from her. You know, you can't confirm or deny it. There's not enough evidence at hand. But this is the interview that Boogie gave with Keemstar about the situation. I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more, and you know, what I personally think of the whole thing, in case anybody actually cares about that. But since we talked about some of his stuff a couple streams back, we just cover this real quick for the sake of doing so, because it's current and topical. All right, here we go.
Fox uploaded a video talking about her relationship with Boogie2988, and well, she had some shade. She said in the video that when her and Boogie started dating, like Boogie found her on some questionable website, they started dating, and well, like Boogie had her over to the house.
Oh, by the way, she was a cam girl, so that's probably what the questionable website talk is all about.
Would unload his problems on her and wouldn't let her leave, and she wasn't able to be home to do her cam girl stuff to make money, so it caused her to go broke. All this stuff. And at the end, she referred to herself as a hooker? Roll it.
What I went through is something nobody should have to endure. And the fact that I know that he's doing this to other
I mean, so obviously it's not a lie that they were together because there's a photo of them right there, but
people,
whatever.
To other girls that are younger than me, makes me very upset. So
I think she's about 19 or 20, so when she says younger than her, that's a little bit strange. But again, she shows no proof of this, so It's hard to say if it's just trash talk.
Come at me with all your hate and your trolls. I don't give a shit. Peace out from your favorite fucking hooker.
Is it just me, or did she seem a little bit unhinged there? Yeah, that's a little crazy.
So obviously we have some questions for the Boogie2988, and that's why I called him for a mini interview. Roll it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have Boogie2988 on the line. Boogie, this cam girl is saying that you guys were dating and that, you know, you wouldn't let her leave, you wouldn't let her work. Is any of this true?
Man, I mean, I never even wanted to confirm whether or not we dated because I didn't want any negativity in her life. Like, that's why I didn't want the people who hate on me to start hating on her. And, you know, I never even want to confirm that she was the girl. Like,
everyone that doesn't like me is just a hater. It's so basic. Just listen to his voice, listen to the way he speaks, listen to the words that he uses, and think about if you were accused by somebody of terrible things. You know, what would you do about it?
I dated, but I guess that ship has sailed now.
Yeah. Why do you think she's coming at you like this?
I don't know. I mean, we dated for 10 weeks. It didn't work out. We broke up. You know, I think we all had all of about 2 disagreements the whole time we were together. I don't know. I don't. Why would she wait 6 months or 7 months? Like, the last time I saw her was the end of February. So I don't even know why she would wait 6 months or how.
So there's sort of a discrepancy here, and I think it's pretty easily explained. He says that they didn't see each other since February. She said something like March in the video. But I do kind of agree with him here that it's a little weird that somebody had this horrible time and they wait well, is it even 6 months? It's a little less than that. It's probably about more like 5. Anyway, they wait all this time to come out with this story. Just seems a little bit suspect. And, you know, with all that Me Too stuff going on, it just sort of reminds you of that kind of situation where it's like it's more about revenge than actually addressing an issue.
However long it's been, if any of this were true, you know, it's just not. You know,
she said the only way she can make money is if she's at home doing her cam girl stuff, right? And that you wouldn't like let her leave the house. Is that true?
But she didn't live here. Like, she lives at home, where she has her own home. Right. Like, if I didn't want her to leave once, why would she ever come back? That doesn't make any sense to me. Right. I don't understand. Like, that's not something you can do to somebody who doesn't live with you, and she never lived here or anything like that. We would see each other 2 or 3 days a week. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Do you think that maybe she is taking advantage of you being a big YouTuber or whatever?
Man, I'm never going to say anything like, you know me, Keemster. I'm never going to say like anything like that about.
I'm never going to stick up for myself, even if somebody's lying about me, because I have absolutely no spine. That's what that comes off as to me. But there are some statements up ahead that we'll get to as soon as I shut up that really make you question who exactly is lying
about anybody.
Right.
You know, all I have to say about this girl is we dated for 10 weeks. She helped me through a really rough period of my life. I got nothing but love and respect for her. I wish her nothing but the best. She deserves nothing but the best. And, you know, I'm sorry that this is how she feels about me. I'm sorry that this is what she thinks about me. You know, and I'm sorry if I ever said or did anything that made her feel uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. So I don't know if you guys heard about the Justin Trudeau situation where he supposedly groped a news reporter like 20 years ago or something like that, and basically he got up there and his apology, which I don't even think he should have to apologize publicly for something 20 years ago, but ignoring that, he got up there and he basically said, well, I'm sorry that, you know, situations can be interpreted differently by different people, and I don't think I did anything wrong, but I am sorry if she felt that way. So he basically just got on here and gave the what I like to call the Justin Trudeau apology.
Or hurt. It was never my intention. You know, it was never my intention.
It sounds like in the video that she's like low on money. Has she been asking you for money?
Man, I don't feel comfortable talking about anything, but she's a girl who's always needed a little help from time to time.
He doesn't feel comfortable talking about it, and yet he doesn't just say no. Like, if you're trying to cover for somebody, why don't you just say no? This seems like saying yes without actually saying yes in order to absolve yourself of responsibility for saying yes.
You know, and I don't know, I don't know what to say about that. I'm not going to dox her. I'm not going to talk about our personal conversations. I don't feel comfortable doing anything like that. But she's, yeah, I mean, everybody needs money, right? Cam girling is a tough position. Doing, the stuff that she does for a living is a tough position. I got nothing but love or respect for girls who do what she does for a living. But
why? What is respectable about that? Like, yeah, you have the personal choice to do whatever you want to do as long as it's not illegal, but that doesn't make it a good choice. That doesn't make it a respectable one. Like, whatever happened to respect? Whatever happened to reserving respect for things that were actually worthy of it? Bit of a tangent, but that just bugs me.
Yeah, everybody could use a little extra money, right? I guess that's true.
What do you think that this scenario says about you? Like, what do you think people will see? People that see this story, right? What do you think their opinion of you will be?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they're going to look at me and say, I'm an asshole, which is, not that far from the truth. And, that I'm not an easy person to be around, which has always been kind of true. That I don't know. I mean, like, I guess a lot of people think I have like this good guy persona on YouTube because I preach, the.
So I think I'm going to stop here because I don't want to play his whole video. I don't know how this guy feels about copyright strikes and stuff like that, but I think that was enough. If anybody wants to watch it, you can clearly see the title on the screen, and you can go and watch the whole thing in entirety for yourself. But it's interesting how he denies it at the beginning, and then later on says, well, I am an asshole. It's not too far from the truth. I am hard to be around. It's not too far from the truth. Now, look, I'm not saying that everything that this girl says is completely true. It could be that she is a liar. But I will say that the things that she said in the video do, if you have watched his streams where he talks about his breakup with his ex, he has talked about the fact that, one of the reasons why they broke up was because of the way that he treated her sometimes, that he was, quick to anger, not easy to deal with. So these are things that came out of his own mouth, which, aligns with things that she said about him, and they're things that he's admitted to himself publicly. Now, she did say that she was a fan of his originally, so it's entirely possible that she fabricated the entire thing based off of information that he himself put online. There's no way to say for sure, but like I said, I feel that it is interesting that he himself admits that later on in the video. It's like it's kind of a conflicting thing to say none of this ever happened, but oh yeah, I'm also hard to deal with, am an asshole. So, interpret that as you will, make up your own mind about it. And, for me personally, I'm not going to just blindly believe somebody just because they make a claim about somebody else. But at the same time, there are other things that I've heard that do sort of align with that pattern of behavior. And it's not just something other people have claimed, it's something that he has stated about himself. So I think there might be a little bit of truth to it. Whether or not they interpreted the situation differently, that's always a possibility. But it's just interesting. Now, look, I'm going to say, completely sympathize with Boogie here. Complaints are so incredibly petty. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't even think that this topic should be on the table. I don't think that his dating life is really anybody's business. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, then why are you talking about it? What's the deal? Isn't that a bit hypocritical? Only reason I'm talking about it is because somebody put it out there in public. I'm not, I don't agree that this belongs out there for the public eye. This is his personal life. It should be separate from his internet life. The problem with him is that he puts a lot of his personal life online, so you can't really help when there's a crossover in his case because he has decided to mix the two. Double standards. Let me try to see what's going on here in the chat. This bitch pretends to take dick from her. Oh my God, really? Not just a cam girl. She. Whoa. Okay, I don't really want to get into that then. Didn't even deny it. Complete. Well, look. I don't know what there is to be sympathetic about because we don't know the situation. I'm not sympathetic to her. I'm not sympathetic to him. We don't know. They both kind of just put some shit out there. He did it in a much more snaky kind of way where it's like, well, I'm not going to confirm or deny this. I'm just going to say I don't want to talk about the personal life. But we all know that that's just something that you do when the answer is yes, but you don't want to get caught flat out saying yes. She's calling Boogie out for not letting her work, which more so translates to not giving her money unless she meets certain conditions. She probably only made anti-Boogie video for clickbait. It's possible. Like I said, it could be to draw attention to her so-called career. Even if this stuff did happen, that could be the motivation. I'm not defending her by any means. I think they're both a little bit unhinged. But yeah, I don't even think this should be out there for public consumption. I think it's ridiculous. I guess she takes the full-on dick. Camgirl is... Yes, let's have all respect for someone making easy money by shaking that pussy in front of a camera. So brave. Most Twitch thoughts make more... Right, Twitch is the new Camgirl. Well, look, I've talked about this before, but I think the appeal when it comes to the Twitch stuff is that you have somebody that, and this doesn't, I think it's still a waste of time and money, but these guys have somebody that they can interact with directly. They can give them money to sort of make them dance like a puppet. Not gonna lie, I'd be mean to my girlfriend if she was taking the dick from older and better shaped dudes on the regular. Neither of them are victims. No, yeah, I agree, Brando. Degenerates deserve each other. That may be true, but it's still an incredibly easy gig. The only thing that are hard about it are the objects they jam into themselves. Oh, man. Worked for me. Saw her dick in and was disappointed. Well, there you go. It's not worth it. Just say no, guys. Just say no. Yeah, so, I mean, that's my take on that. I don't think any of this should really be out for people to see. It's unfortunate that it was put out there. I'm sure that it's not as simple as, black or white. There's probably a little bit of a gray area where there's some truth to both sides there. That sounds like a very Boogie position of me to take. But it's a relationship, you can't know unless you were a part of it, unless, you had a little, well, you don't want to have a video camera in the room because she's a cam girl, so you know what's going on. All right, anyway, enough of that. Let's see what else I had here. I'm going to close out of some of these things. I guess we're moving through the topics a little bit faster than I thought I would. So this is a great post that I came across earlier, and if you look through the guy's Twitter, he actually has some what you would call more reasonable posts, but I thought this one was a little bit silly. And it says, ladies, if you're dating an adult male who still plays video games, it's time to reevaluate that relationship. So, I mean, is he implying that there are no... Well, first of all, let's take a look at how many 277 retweets, 953 likes. 3,000 comments, though, so that's kind of interesting. Is that what they refer to as the Twitter ratio, where there's more replies than there are likes and whatnot? But anyway, is he implying that there's no adult ladies that play video games? Because I'm fairly certain that's bullshit. I mean, I know for a fact that is bullshit. Why exactly do you need to reevaluate a relationship based on somebody's hobby that doesn't necessarily break the trust or the foundation of a personal relationship? There's no good answer for that here. But he goes on. He says, nothing wrong with grown men playing video games? Nothing wrong with this either. Joe has a successful career, 2 beautiful children, and a lovely wife. After work, Joe likes to play with his toys. Joe's wife is happy he stays home instead of going out and potentially cheating on her. If the only way that your wife can be happy or not worried that you're cheating is if you stay in the house all the time, isn't there something else wrong with that relationship? Now look, I said this on Twitter earlier, so some people may hear a bit of a regurgitated argument, which is fine. But if this dude was just like, oh yeah, you know, I like to come home after work and just build with some Legos or whatever. Okay, cool. But when you put on a pair of baby pajamas, stick a pacifier in your mouth, I'm going to assume a diaper because he's got the whole playpen thing set up there and everything, and that sort of reminds me of back when I covered the whole adult baby thing, and you're shitting your pants, that goes a little bit beyond a hobby. That is mental reversion to the point of forgetting basic adult and even prepubescent behaviors, such as toilet training. Okay? That's not even on the same level as playing a video game, which is a form of entertainment. Crapping your pants is not a hobby. Do you see the difference? So it's pretty stupid. Men are dropping out of the workforce to spend their time in an alternate reality, escape to another world. Well, look, could it be because men are being treated as though they are disposable, replaceable, just toxic pieces of garbage that are all the problems with the world? You know, there are some strong-willed guys out there, sure, but I'm sure there's also a lot of them out there that get broken by the idea that they are not valuable in some way. You know, I think it's not the best idea to listen to society's perception of things, but unfortunately we live in a world where there are a lot of people that do that. And this is just kind of perpetuating that stupid narrative even more. I mean, does that mean we should make a post that says, men, if you're dating an adult woman who still watches Disney or Pixar movies, it's time to reevaluate that relationship? I mean, what is the line here that we're drawing where a hobby is viewed as too childish to take part in, where it's somehow affecting your personal relationship when they're not really related? The only thing that I've ever heard really being a problem with video games is if somebody that likes video games is dating somebody that doesn't like them, and maybe the person that doesn't like them feels as though the other person is spending too much time with video games. That can be a problem, obviously, but that's more of a difference in preferences and how to spend your time than it is a problem with the video games themselves. So, you know, it's important to... You don't have to necessarily do this. I mean, if you could find somebody that doesn't necessarily have the same hobby and they respect the fact that you want to spend time with your hobby, that could probably work out. But I would say, you know, it's probably a good idea to try to find somebody with common interests. You don't necessarily have to play the same type of video games. Maybe just the understanding of wanting to. But it seems crazy to me that this is a talking point. Yep, the term is getting ratioed. The fuck? Guess I gotta find a new hobby. Them Disney girls are usually into DDLG. Best steer clear. Oh no. Oh no. We don't want that. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, look, That is just absolutely ridiculous. The only thing that, and this could be said about any hobby, the only time that there's a point here is if somebody becomes obsessed with a hobby to the point of being unable to function and take care of their other responsibilities. That's the only time a hobby becomes a problem. When it becomes too much. You don't have a balance of hobby and real life things that you must take care of, okay? Otherwise, it's good to have something that you can devote your time to and forget about your worries for a little while and just have some fun. Whatever happened to that? Why do we have to make everything into an issue? I mean, listen, they made gamer addiction a thing based on whether or not you play an average of 3 hours of games a day. So you mean to tell me that somebody that plays 3 hours of video games a day has a mental illness, but somebody that wants to change their gender is just another type of person, and it's totally normal? That's the standard that we're living by in reality now. Absolutely ridiculous. Insane. Oh no, some random guy on the internet said I'm less of a man for playing video games. Whatever shall I do? I guess I better give my dick back to God. That could be interpreted in many ways. Some very, very wrong. Who is this Akin guy anyway? You know, I don't know. I've never heard of him until today. I just kind of saw this post in passing and kind of wanted to comment on it because I thought it was overly simplistic, and like I said, it ignores the fact that there are a lot of women now that are into video games. I mean, there always have been. Gotta go. Good night, chat. Take it easy, Brando. Thanks for stopping by and listening. Alright, so wash your dick and clean your room. Channeling that Jordan Peterson there. I mean, that's pretty much, I think that's as far as it goes. I did think some of the replies were pretty funny here. See, like, this girl's like, playing video games with my partner is pure joy. Couples who play together have a way tighter bond. Puzzle solving, achievement hunting. Do you even play video games, Brev? Delete your ignorance. That's great. Gaming is what bonded my wife and I. Well, that and something the old kids call love. Holistic living educator. What a joke. He seems like a very educated person as well. Oh boy. Yeah, I guess there are some weird posts from him as well. When I skimmed the timeline, it wasn't so bad. But I guess it's not surprising that somebody with a take like this would be a little bit loopy. I'm a woman who literally works in the creation of video games, and I regularly play and share them with my partner. We are both around 30. You are aware that games are made by adults. How are games meant to be made if adults don't play them? Spin off into the sun, me. There we go. She married me. That's great. That's hilarious. Yeah, there's a lot of replies like that. So, I mean, clearly this guy is way off base because it's obvious that there are a lot of functioning relationships that occur with the common hobby of video games. So, suck it, Akin. Well, I guess I kind of revealed the next topic, but this is pretty funny. Before I go into that, though, let me check one last look at the chat here. Okay, if you're dating a individual of specific sex, race, whatever, who does insert hobby, which can be done moderately, rethink your life. At this point, Boogie is a joke, and it's sad, honestly. I'm glad I never invested myself with him. Yeah, there are a lot of cringeworthy moments. Let's just put it that way. I gotta. Oh, somebody left me a comment that says "fuck you." Well, that's great, awesome. Don't tell him to suck it. He might actually do it. Well, I guess as long as they both enjoy it, right? So I found this article, which was ironically enough posted by an Asian person that disagreed with it. So I thought that was hilarious. First off. And I read it for myself yesterday. I was just thinking, what is wrong with these people? So, your thing for Asian girls is not a compliment. This is from Australia, so Australia is pretty social justice-y from what I understand. I don't know where this quote is coming from because I don't think I saw it in the actual article. But it says, it's even better that you're Vietnamese because I have a thing for Asian girls. Okay. So here we go. I groaned as all the signs... People always write these things as like personal blogs now. Like, this is how articles are written. It's like, I, me, me, me. I groaned as all the signs I had ignored collided like pieces of Tetris and sank deep into my gut. Really setting the stage here. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was sitting in bed browsing through Bumble. I had been on this supposedly classier version of Tinder for about 2 weeks. I wasn't hopeful to meet anyone significant. As a junior doctor, humble brag, it is rare that I stay in the same place for more than a couple of years, and I was due to move in the next few months. Bumble was just my way of social profiling. A guy got a yes swipe from me if he wasn't... Listen to this. A guy got a yes swipe from me if he wasn't butt ugly and overtly obnoxious on his profile. So, don't like me for a specific aspect of my being, but allow me to call you butt ugly and overtly obnoxious and pass on you. Totally fair judgment right there, but definitely not fair to judge me in a positive way on something. So, you know, we see the double standard building already. It doesn't take long when it comes to these people. Justin was 31 and a corporate professional. I gathered that much from his job description as director and the gray suit and collared shirt that he wore in his profile picture. He was white, with curly black hair and gray eyes behind wire-framed glasses. If he walked down the street, I probably wouldn't have looked back at him, but his profile read, I traveled between Asia and Australia for work. I was born in Canada and can speak French. Here we go. Call me an intellectual snob, but in an app where most guys couldn't be bothered to type full words, a profile that contained a complete sentence was a refreshing, how are you, in a sea of sup. Oh, I really like this one. He can write in full sentences, I thought to myself. And besides, surely he would be interested if he's traveled so much. Surely. I swiped right and messaged, hi, in the in-app messenger. Hello, lovely to meet you, he wrote back. Tell me about yourself. I smiled. First contact confirmed my preconceptions. He was eloquent, or as eloquent as someone can get on a dating app. He seemed like a gentleman. I was impressed. It's not going to take long for it to run out. Over the next few hours, in between my 2 loads of laundry and meal prepping, we messaged about the weekend, our careers, and future plans. He told me he had a master's of economics from a university in Canada. I told him about my work as a junior doctor. I'm training to be a psychiatrist, I told him. There's so much we don't know about the brain. His response was short. You're such a sweet girl. Okay. I didn't think having to engage with severely drug-affected patients at 4 a.m. on a regular basis allowed anyone to be sweet. A worm of irritation slinked into my chest. So, really, you don't see how he could perceive that as a so-called sweet thing to want to do because you're trying to help people with mental problems? Nah. Where are you from, he asked. Sydney. I mean, what are you? I sighed and tapped. I'm Vietnamese Australian. Like, is it really that hard to believe that somebody would ask you, like, what you are? Is that so wrong now that you can't just ask? I mean, you know how many... I've been asked that countless times, and supposedly everybody's just supposed to assume that white people don't get asked that. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You're an idiot. You're just trying to feel like a victim over something so simple. It's just a question. Somebody's wanting to get to know you, get to know about you. You know, these people, they bitch about their culture not being respected, their people not being respected. Well, how the fuck can you do that if we don't even know what you are? If you won't even divulge what you are? If you're not even willing to talk about it with getting irritated? It makes no sense. So she went to Vietnam 2 years ago. Oh, he said that. I went to Vietnam 2 years ago. I love the culture. I don't know how to pronounce what he says here. Apparently it just means... Well, they go down. I don't really... I'm not good with Vietnamese pronunciations. I suddenly felt cold and still. Calmly and measuredly I wrote, don't you think you should like a girl for their individual merit? I mean, look, there's obviously something to be said for that. I actually agree with that statement. But that doesn't mean that there aren't general characteristics that can attract you to a person. I put the phone down, tense. My first thought, she's going to be literally shaking soon. My first thoughts about Justin had been wrong. Oh, God. He was now scoring very highly on how to piss me off with the least number of characters in the shortest amount of time. Probably a good thing. He probably dodged the bullet here, not her. I had chosen to tell him about my career, to which I had dedicated 8 years of my life, simply for it to be summarized as sweet. How dare you? How absolutely dare you, Justin? How could you do this? She worked so hard. I doubted that if I had been a white woman or a white man, he would have used the same description. Why? Why would you ever bring race into that? So let's see. A white woman studying psychiatry can't be sweet, according to a man? Are you dumb? That has nothing to do with it. Being sweet and docile is an image that prevails about Asian women in Western culture. Oh, the horror. A Google search of Asian women will bring up multiple opinion articles from mostly white men, telling other men to date Asian women over women from other races because we're more soft-spoken and traditional. Asian Woman Planet, Global Seducer, Love Compass. I guess those are different websites or something. These men sprout? I think he means spout, but sprout pseudoscientific explanations for this image, claiming that we have higher estrogen levels, meaning we also look younger and smaller, and are biologically more desirable as a result. Now look, I'm not going to pretend to be a scientific expert here, so I don't know the validity to that claim. But there is obviously, in general, they do tend to look younger, and they are smaller in general, again. So that's obviously something biological. It's not a social construct to look youthful and be small. That's not something that society imposes on you. That's biological. The flip side of the docile Asian stereotype is evident in the flashing dating ads that adorn the sides of these articles. You know they do this for, like, Russian women and stuff, too? East Asian women smiling demurely at the camera. A contradictory message that Asian women are hypersexual objects. Because they're models in the photos, you idiot. Exotic, erotic, commodified. This fetish is a particularly sensitive subject for Vietnamese women, which goes back to the Vietnam War, which you weren't born for. Our mothers and grandmothers were visible to the West as prostitutes or mistresses to Allied soldiers. Well, I mean, I hate to put reality into your head here, but some of you were. That happens. Doesn't mean all, but some of you were. Notably fictionalized in the musical Miss Saigon. The stereotype of a publicly docile woman who's a vixen in the bedroom enhances the idea that all Asian women are there for white male consumption. That's like a really weird way to word that. They're just so small and bite-sized. Let me just eat them up. Are you fucking... I can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. I remember being 12 and shopping on Oxford Street with my mom. I was shuffling through dresses at a discount clothing store. My legs, bare under my cotton sundress, were cold every time the store fan rotated towards me. Really? You remember this like that vividly from 12 years old? I smelt the sickly sweet smell of beer and looked up. 2 Caucasian men were looking straight at me. Did you just assume their race, you bigot? They both had crew cuts and sleeve tattoos that stretched up over their arms. The shorter one had bloodshot blue eyes. Ni hao mai, you see that mean? Yeah, that's Chinese, so of course she's offended now. I stared at him, but said nothing. I knew I was safe inside the shop with its security cameras. You would look pretty in that dress, said the taller one, pointing at a yellow dress on the rack. You would look pretty in a bikini, added the short one. Then they casually made their way out of the store. Okay, so they said stupid shit and left. The horrors. I mean, granted, you know, that's weird. You were 12. And they sound like they were much older. But yeah, not exactly a crisis here. What were they saying? Asked my mom in Vietnamese, her voice snappier than usual. Nothing, I replied. They were just being gross. To my surprise, Justin responded to my last Bumble message about an hour later. I just prefer Asians. They have attributes I like. They're smaller, slimmer. Once again, he made me feel sick. Small and slim for Asian fetishists have pornographic connotations. Really? The fantasy of a small Asian vagina, which is a slight improvement on the sideways vagina myth. Myth of the 19th century. Oh, that's hilarious. But can't a female of any race be small and slim? I message back. Sure, yes, that is true. But again, why? Why do you have such a problem with... All right, I could understand if the only reason that somebody wanted to date someone, like the only reason, was because of their race. That might be a little weird, yes. Because... not because I think it's wrong to be attracted to someone physically, because it's not, but because then you're ignoring the individual aspects of the person. Obviously, just because somebody looks similar to someone else, it doesn't automatically mean they have the same life experience or the same opinions or anything like that. They're going to be a different person, have their own personality, have their own ways about them. They can obviously have cultural similarities if they are part of the same culture, if they were raised in the same culture, but it's not always a given. So fair enough on that, but I think that her reaction is just so overblown, especially like attributing these weird motives, like the fantasy of a small... Get out of here. Just get out of town. That doesn't make any sense. There's probably so few people that think that they go and then they project this onto everybody that states that they have some sort of attraction. So he says it's just a preference. I don't know why this is a problem, and that's probably the truth. He probably doesn't understand why this woman that he was getting along with, or at least he thought he was getting along with up until about 10 minutes ago, has just decided to make an argument out of a passing comment. Now maybe he should have just kept quiet and shouldn't have said that, but if she's somebody that is so touchy over these topics, then it's probably better to just avoid her. I mean, she had no problem pointing out white people or white this, white that. But if somebody says they have a positive preference for whatever the hell she is, it's a problem. The double standards are just mind-blowing. So she says, perhaps it was because Justin was well-educated and seemed eloquent, qualities I erroneously linked with being fair-minded, that is to say, not racist or sexist, that I kept trying to argue my case, even though it was past midnight. I was determined to make this white man see. I mean, that's just absurd. So, all right, here we go. It is she continues, it is offensive because I am an individual, and you have a preference for my race, not me. I'm not just this Asian stereotype that you can pull off the internet. Furthermore, you used my language without knowing the connotations behind the words. So, I guess it means beautiful girl. He says, I've said to lots of women, and no one's ever said anything bad about it. Okay, buddy, now you're probably burning your bridges a little bit because, like, oh, well, now you say it to a lot of women. She's going to flip out and be like, oh, so it's not even a valid, compliment. All right, so maybe no one had ever said anything to Justin about it, which is actually funny because he said he went to Vietnam. So if he went there and he said it to some women and they reacted positively, why do you think that you get to dictate on behalf of all of the Asians or the Vietnamese people that it is offensive? How does that work? And then you say, don't make stereotype, don't make generalizations, but here she is, because she thinks she's on the right side of the argument, making generalizations. So, okay, maybe no one had ever said anything, Justin, about it, but here's what I can tell you, my reader. It means beautiful girl, generally means girl or female, but in Vietnamese the meaning is derived from context. Has its own connotations of the sex industry. Look, I don't know the history of this, so I don't know if that's an accurate thing to say. Maybe it is. Sad in life, sweet talk them, unbeknownst to their wives at home. It's also an affectionate term that my grandfather called his daughters because they were always little girls to him. Female child. All this and more, which was too complicated to explain to Justin via dating app. I can't even, I wrote. It's late and I don't want to argue about this all night, he replied. Let's agree to disagree about this and not let it get in the way of our relationship. Blocked. And to this day, she's still alone. Because this is just such a stupid, entitled attitude. All right, let me go up here and see what the chat is saying. Classic women get to choose privilege. I don't think she should be a psychiatrist. Boy, this is escalating quickly. She was literally being murdered. I prefer Asian women. Oh no. How dare you assume I'm nice and be nice to me. I'll prove that I have a terrible personality. Yeah, really. Forget stepping on eggshells. You were stepping on landmines with this one. Is that like a Vietnam joke? The war there? Wait a minute. She implied all this from a simple 2 to 3 sentence conversation. Right? It's like, how are you going to get that much? And they were getting it, like it seemed as though they were getting along, and then she just blows up. Beautiful, but apparently is used as whore/prostitute. Both seem informal according to Wiktionary. I mean, look, maybe it is, maybe it is not a very good term. I don't know, but like she said, she's not willing to explain it. So how is he going to learn? She just assumes, that somebody's going to come right out of the package knowing everything. And I guess I'm just failing to see how it's fair for her to have these preferences that she clearly has, which when it comes to appearances, the butt ugly, nobody that is butt ugly is acceptable to her. So why is that okay? But it's not okay for him to have preferences based on characteristics. She inferred that he doesn't care about her as an individual. Okay? It simultaneously makes no sense to be like, this is me, I am Asian, therefore you have to act in this way to respect me, and then say, I am an individual. Which are you? Are you part of the group? Are you an individual? Or, let's get to the reality of it here, you are one or the other based on when it is convenient for your narrative. That's the part that bothers me. Make up your mind, and then move on accordingly. All right, so that's it for that part. There was one more thing, and it's something that we've talked a little bit about here before, but I came across it a couple hours before the stream, and I kind of just threw it in at last minute. So apparently, Mike has this column called Trans-splaining. So right off the bat, given the language that they're using here, we're in for a treat. And I guess it is an advice column from a transgender perspective. So it says, welcome. Well, first let me read the title here. Trans-splaining. I'm dating a man who doesn't know I'm transgender. How and when do I tell him? I feel very sorry for this guy. Not because she's transgender, but because he can't tell. What? I don't know. Maybe they're very convincing. I don't know. Welcome to Trans-splaining, Mike correspondent Serena Daniari's weekly advice column on gender identity. No topic, from dating to sex to the process of transitioning itself, is off limits. Submit your question. Ooh, we could actually make it onto Trans-splaining by submitting a question. Probably wouldn't answer unless I made something very convincing up. So here we go. I'm a pre-op trans woman, and I've been dating a guy for a month. So basically, she has a dick. Let's just be real. Things are getting serious with us, and I know it's time to tell him my secret, but I'm terrified he won't like me anymore. How do I tell him? And there lies the mistake. Dishonesty. But let's go on and see before I throw in any sort of opinion. Let's see what our advice columnist has to say. Let's go to the expert, the trans-splainer, if you will. I want to apologize that you and other girls like us, oh boy, here we go, live in a society where we must literally fear for our lives when deciding when and how to disclose our trans identity. I said I was going to let her reply, but I lied. Because right off the bat, we have the bullshit detector going off here. You don't have to fear for your life. The problem here is a problem of dishonesty. If you are going to go into the dating world and date guys that are interested in women, then you know what they're expecting. they're not expecting somebody that transformed into one, 2 years ago. They're expecting someone that was born that way. That's just reality because the majority of people are like that. So you are the outlier. It's going to be a little bit harder for you, but that doesn't mean you get the special privilege of being dishonest with people, okay? If you were upfront about it from the beginning, you would know right off the bat if the guy's going to be interested in somebody who has that, biology, let's say. And then, if they say no, okay, you're no worse for the wear. But if you go off and you build this relationship, about a month worth of it, and you don't tell the poor guy, that's going to hit him like a stack of bricks, because it's going to cause them to question a whole lot of things about themselves. And you can say, oh, that's just them being a baby about it or whatever, but that's complete bullshit, especially if you're going to make the argument that sexual orientation is innate, and that's why gay people can't just be straight, because it's not their choice. So unless you want to walk back on that, you don't have an argument as to why a straight person can't get upset that they've been tricked into dating someone that was previously a man. So let's continue. The anxiety you're feeling is completely valid. Yes, let's go ahead and validate every little tiny feeling they have. Trans women are so frequently assaulted and murdered after opening up about their trans identities to potential partners. Yeah, because they wait a month or longer. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a good reaction, but it's going to happen, and the more that you put yourself in that potential danger, the more it's going to happen. I know this entry will be controversially received. I don't want you to be caught off guard when readers and social media users express anger and disappointment in you for not initially telling the man that you've been dating that you're trans. Try your best to tune them out. Until they've been in your exact position, they have no right to judge you. So, no right to judge. You put your opinions out in public. You put your actions out in public, and nobody has any right to judge. But yet, they have the right to judge how somebody will react to the news that the person they've been dating is not who they thought they were. Makes a lot of sense, right? It doesn't. Okay. It is my belief that as trans women, we should only feel obligated to disclose our transness. This language is so stupid to the men we date once we see that the relationship is going in a direction where physical intimacy could occur. What kind of physical intimacy are we talking? Are we talking that the line is just sex and every other type of like physical interaction, like holding hands and kissing, like all those things are okay? Because I don't think it is. Those are the kind of actions that will, lead to angry outbursts when the person finds out. Your medical and gender history is private. Okay, there's no such thing as a gender history. That is just made up crap. No man has the right to access that information from the first time you meet them. Now, I personally disagree. If you're so worried about your safety, you should tell somebody if you go on a date with them. You don't have to tell random strangers, but somebody that you're going on a date with, somebody that you're getting to know on a deeper level, that's a pretty relevant fact about you. For reasons pertaining to safety, I choose to be open about it immediately, but that doesn't mean there's only one way to navigate the situation. Actually, it does. You're dumb. You should have said that. I mean, look, this person chooses to do it because they know that there's less of a risk that they will end up in a harmful situation if they're just honest from the start. So why not just tell your readers, be honest from the start. It's not that hard. I reached out to trans psychotherapist Laura Jacobs. Oh boy. Who reiterates the dangers of dating while trans. I feel like that should be, or if it's not already, it's probably going to be a reality show, right? Jacob said there is no easy answer to this dilemma. Yes, there is. It's called being honest. We rarely know how or when to reveal details about extremely personal facets of our identity. They said in an email to Mike, too early makes us feel vulnerable and potentially scares away possible partners. Too late makes people feel misled. Both put trans people at risk for emotional and physical violence. No, too early. Look, I understand that, maybe you feel like nobody likes you, nobody wants to be with you, whatever. But you were never, ever entitled to somebody else's affections. okay? Especially somebody that you're just getting to know. It's like you're not in a relationship with a person for a long time, so you have no right to a relationship with them. Since you have told me that your relationship is heading in a serious direction, I would advise you to set some time down for you to tell him that you are trans and that your body is probably different from the other women he has dated. No, it's definitely different. My recommendation is to either tell him over the phone or in a public place, like a cafe or a restaurant, so others are there to intervene if he gets angry or violent. Your safety is the priority. Remember when they said honesty was the best policy? You should also mentally prepare yourself for the potential reality that after finding out that you are trans, he may no longer be interested. This will be painful, but I've been through it, and I promise you will be fine on the other side. I have to drink some water there. Talking too long. It's also possible that he will be receptive, open-minded. That's what they call it now, open-minded. It's just open-minded. And willing to have a collaborative dialogue about your future together. I hope I have been helpful. This is an issue where the answers are not so black and white. I mean, they're pretty black and white. Because from the outset, you should be honest about something like that. Especially if you feel that there is a chance that not disclosing that sort of information would put you in a dangerous place later on. As much as these people don't want to hear it, your personal safety is your responsibility. It doesn't mean that other people should hurt you, but it does mean that you don't know, you never know how somebody is going to react to something. So at the end of the day, it is solely on you to make sure that you've done all that you can to be safe. And that goes for everybody. I can't stand these types of topics because they just try to use that excuse like, oh, well, these people are oppressed and they have it so hard, so they don't have to be as honest about things as everybody else. Bullshit. If you want to be treated like everybody else, then you need to play by the same rules. Let's see. Is that Blair White? Oh God, Mike. What kind of guy can't tell a trap from a biological woman? I've never understood the utter blindness that must occur to not see the obvious. Hand-holding between traps and the unsuspecting is too lewd. No, I'm just saying if you're going to get, like, that's a hilarious interpretation, don't get me wrong. Great joke. But I'm just saying, like, if you're going to get physical with the person, I would think it's not right to mislead them. That's my main thing here. I'm not saying anything is necessarily justified, but I think it is at least understandable why somebody would get so angry and outraged about being lied to. I mean, people get angry and outraged about being lied to about far less. So I would think that you should be prepared for the worst. Just because you think that, you know, somebody might not like you, you might lose a potential partner. Like, wouldn't you want to weed out somebody that wouldn't accept you? I thought that was the whole thing here, is that we try to, you know, we try to find people that accept us the way that we are, or at least, you know, who we are as an individual. Not, people obviously have room for growth and change, but I mean, apparently, since you can now change your gender. But yeah, it's just a crazy world. I don't understand the logic. I don't feel like there really is much. It seems like common sense that if you thought that somebody was going to be in physical danger, that you would just do what you can to avoid physical danger, that you would want to be, you know, cognizant of the fact that you want somebody that's going to accept you. I don't understand this entitled mindset where you think that just because you have it a certain way that you have the right to impose on somebody else. That person is still an individual person that deserves to be able to make an informed choice, just in the same way that you should be able to, you know? Wouldn't you be eager to help dilate your horse-face Tinder date to advance social justice once you figured out she's a Z after she drops her... Oh, God, that is horrific. Definitely. Definitely not. I really think it's crazy that we're getting to the point where it's like you can get called intolerant or a bigot for not wanting to date certain types of people. It's crazy because on one hand, these are the same people that will say, you know, a man is never entitled to a woman's affection. Well, apparently a man posing as a woman is entitled to a man's affection. So can somebody work out the math here? I feel like we need that gif where the dude is like sees the equations in front of his face and it just looks like his brain is melting because he doesn't understand how this could be. That's what I feel like. I don't understand how you get here. Become so concerned with making people feel accepted and not rejected that you're imposing on somebody else's right to choose what they like and don't like. You shouldn't be mistreated by anybody by any means, but you never have the right to make somebody like you in an intimate way. Never. It doesn't matter who you are. Somebody doesn't like you, you know what you do? You move on, because that's life, and not everybody's going to like you for a variety of different reasons. I mean, just look back at the girl that was claiming that the other guy was racist. She obviously had physical preferences, and nobody was bitching at her and saying, oh, you're a fucking bigot because, you know, you don't like butt ugly people. It makes no sense. And I think you have to be... I think that some people have been so brainwashed by some of this stuff that they actually believe they have these conflicting worldviews that don't make any sense. Like, on one hand, they support gay rights because they say sexual orientation is innate and it can't be changed. And then on the other, apparently straight men should be perfectly fine with dating women that used to be men. And you can say that it's insensitive to word it that way, but that's the reality of the situation. You want somebody else to accept you when you didn't even accept yourself. And I kind of borrowed that line from a meme thing that I saw, but it's true. Attraction is not a choice until you're not attracted to them. Yeah, that does seem to be the double standard, and that's what I don't like about it. It's like, how do you simultaneously hold these worldviews and not see the contradiction? Okay, well, on that note, I think I have ranted long enough. That's going to be a wrap for me. I'm actually going to... More people are watching this than Halsey. I'm proud. Hey, all right. Yeah, I'm glad everybody stuck around and listened in. I'm going to actually go over to Twitch now and stream for my audience over there, because I did not do that yesterday, and I should have. So if you, I don't know, some of you are probably going to want to go watch Killstream, and that's perfectly fine. I don't blame you. But if you don't have plans to do that, you can come join me over at twitch.tv/scratchpoint if you're at all interested in gaming. Been working on Octopath Traveler for the Switch. And all right, thanks everyone for watching. As usual, thanks for the support, comments, the super chat. Appreciate all that. And let me find the button to get out of here. All right, have a good evening, everybody.